Hello everyone, my name is Tabby and welcome back to my channel Keeping Tabs, where today I'm going to be sharing with you guys a spoiler-free review of The Red Scrolls of Magic by Cassandra, Clare, and Wesley Chu. So exciting! Okay, let's just talk about the plot for a second. Like I said, this is going to be non-spoilery. And if I happen to spoil something, I'll put it at the end. I'll edit it so that it's at the end of the video and I'll warn you before I derail all of that. But anyways, let's talk about the plot. This follows Alec and Magnus on their European vacation, and it takes place after City of Glass and kind of during the first bit of Fallen Angels. So if you're an avid Shadowhunters reader, then you've read all of the Immortal Instruments, and you know that Malec, I'm probably just gonna say Malec because sometimes I say Agnes and Malec and it's just weird, so I'll just say Malec. So Malec was not present for a good chunk of Fallen Angels, which was something I was personally annoyed about back in the day when I was reading Fallen Angels. But this is what they were getting up to during that time in City of Fallen Angels. It's awesome. Not only are they gallivanting around Europe, but they also happen to discover that there is a cult, a demon worshipping cult called the Crimson Hand, and there's a big rumor going around that Magnus is the leader of this cult. And this cult is evil. Not only do they worship demons, but they kill downworlders and they kill humans or mundanes, and they try to summon demons and greater demons and all of that. So nobody's having this cult. They're all really upset that it's a thing, and Shadowhunters all over Europe and the institutes, they're trying to track down the leader, who is Magnus, to shut it down. And Magnus and Alec find this out during their vacation. It kind of puts a wrench in their whole plans, and they have to try to settle the whole matter and clear Magnus's name. It's a hoot. It's a grand old time, and it was really fun. Let's talk about the things that I loved about this plot. I loved watching Alec and Magnus run around and try to uncover these secrets about this Crimson Hand cult. We see them going to lavish costume parties, we see them driving fast cars all over Italy, and that part kind of reminded me of Alice in, what was the one where they go and drive to save Edward? Is that New Moon or is that Eclipse? I'm confused. It was a New Moon. I don't know, but it reminded me of that whole scene because they're driving around and you get to see Alec drive. That was funny. That was interesting. I love it. Let's talk about the writing style of this book, because if you've been around since City of Bones and all the way up to Queen of Air and Darkness, then you know Cassandra Clare has grown tremendously as an author, and her writing is getting so good, so beautiful. I was never a fan of her writing. I am a huge fan of the Shadowhunter books. They are like my favorite series, but I have never liked her writing. But it's finally becoming, I love it. And there are scenes that she writes, like intimate scenes between Magnus and Alec, that are just so touching and so beautifully written. I loved it. So her writing style is just getting so much better. And this was kind of different because usually we get multiple POVs in like the Infernal Devices and the Shadow and the Immortal Instruments, but this is only Magnus and Alec. So I don't know, it was very interesting. It was very different. Like, you know, we get all kinds of POVs in her other books, but this one is just 2 POVs, and it was like kind of chill, not having to hop around all over the place, and just to stick with the 2 characters that we know and love. Let's talk about the world building, shall we? So like I said, we are in Europe, and I was really excited to get to see institutes in Europe, and we do get to see some beautifully described institutes in Rome and France and all of that stuff, and I was excited to like see the way of Shadowhunters in Europe and like what they're all about. But the one thing that bugged me about this is that there are so many characters that we know by name from all of the other books that are in this book, and it was kind of weird. Like, what are the odds that all of these characters are here in Europe during Magnus and Alec's vacation? They're just here chilling, and they're in the book. Like, so many. I could name them, but I'm not because spoilers, but there's a lot. And it kind of took away from like the feel of them being in a totally different environment, because I wanted to like meet some of the other Shadowhunters. Because one thing I always wanted from Cassandra Clare's Shadowhunter stories was to see other Shadowhunters besides the Herondales and the Lightwoods and the Blackthorns, because we always focus on the big families, and the books are always characters who are descendants of the big families. Like, we already know all about them, and I've always wanted to learn about new families, because I'm sure there's not only just Herondales and Blackthorns and Lightwoods and Morgensterns all over the place. I'm sure there's more families. I'm sure. But yeah, that didn't happen, so I was a little bummed about that, but it's okay. It was still a good time. However, because she had all of these characters that we know where they're at by Queen of Air and Darkness, so we know them. So when it came down to figuring out who the villain was of this story, it was very easy to narrow it down, because we know all of these characters except for a few. There's like a few characters we don't know. So it was so easy to figure out who the bad guy was. So yeah, that was a little disappointing, because, you know what I mean? It was obvious, because we know all the other characters. So yeah, I was a little let down with that. Other than that, I really enjoyed this book, and I was kind of nervous that it wasn't gonna, like, I don't know. I was nervous about this being a flashback all the way back to City of Fallen Angels, but she did such an amazing job with tying the events of that book with this, like kind of mentioning things that were happening, and it made me smile, because it worked out really well in the end. Overall, I'm going to give this book a 3.75, maybe a 4, maybe a 3.5, maybe a 3. I'm all over the place. Okay, I'm gonna give this a 3.75 stars, because like I said, the whole thing about the plot and who the villain was and all of the characters that we already knew by name, it kind of brought the experience down. And also the ending is like I feel like it was supposed to be like a big shocker, but something about it was already revealed in Queen of Air and Darkness, so it was not a big shocker because we knew about it already. But the way she wrote it felt like she was trying to make it a big shocker, even though we already knew about that from Queen of Air and Darkness. But this is an arc, so who knows? It might change. It probably will change because it's an arc. I don't know what exactly will change about it, but it's gonna change, and I'm interested in reading the final product to see if my opinions or thoughts change on it. But this was such a fun book, you guys. If you love Alec and Magnus, you're gonna want to read this, because we get to see their relationship develop. We get to see Magnus trying to swoon Alec and trying to impress him with magic and with all of these dazzling locations in Europe, and we get to see Alec trying to be there for Magnus and trying to be friends with his friends so that he's not weird. And it's just so precious. I love them so much. We get everything that you've always wanted from them, from the Mortal Instruments. We get it here, and it's great. It's fantastic, and I love it so much. Also, this is called the Red Scrolls of Magic, but also the series is called The Eldest Curses. And one of my favorite things when reading any book is getting to the part in the book where we finally understand what the title means. And wait till you get to the part where we understand what the Eldest Curses means. I don't know if it's gonna be like a big thing for you guys, but I was excited about it, and now I have theories. I have theories for book 2. This is good. This was fun, and it's actually like really short, so it was a grand old time. I recommend reading it, especially if you're a Shadowhunters fan. It's such a hoot. It's really fun. And yeah, let me know if you've read it and if you feel the same way about all of the characters, the same characters being in the book. I don't know, that's just something that's always bothered me about all of Cassandra Clare's books, is how much and how hard she tries to connect every series and every person with past series and past characters. Like, they don't all have to be connected to each other, you know what I mean? But she goes there. I mean, sometimes it's cool, sometimes it's subtle, and the avid readers and the big fans, we get that subtle hint, like, oh, that's a connection, that's related to that. But sometimes she takes that subtle hint and then just adds on to it just to make sure that we get it. And it's just, you know, less is more sometimes. Less is more. But she continues to do it, so it's, I guess I have to. I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised. I'm not even gonna expect anything less anymore. So that's just that. This book comes out April 9th, 2019, so be sure to get it because it is amazing. Okay, so that was my non-spoilery review for The Red Scrolls of Magic by Cassandra, Clare, and Wesley Chu. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Let me know, give me some feedback for my reviews. I'm trying to do good reviews and it's just a hot mess. I even like wrote this out and I didn't even follow my write-up, so cool. That's all I have for you guys. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys later. Bye!